Okay, so we spoke a little bit about the time you're living in now feels quite likely a bit chaotic and uncertain. And I want to share with you a little more of why that makes so much sense historically. So, you've seen your technology advance history. Think of the last 50 to 100 years from the time you're living in now, of the great strides technology has taken. And then think of even just the last 10 to 20 years, how much quicker the technology continued to advance until the time where you are now. And from our perspective, looking back, we can see after the year 2030, things shifted quite rapidly. And the reason why in 2030, so about the time you're living in now, is when the people who are becoming adults are the first generation of people who have lived their entire lives knowing the internet and being connected worldwide by the internet, which has created a drastic shift in their mentality, their awareness, their thought processes, their consciousness. These are the people who are becoming adults now in your time and beginning to shape the world and shift systems. And so some structures that have been around for quite a long time are beginning to feel that disruption. Now, after 2030 and through the time where I'm speaking to you from in 2055, things really do greatly shift for the better because now we have a second generation who are now becoming adults. People who were raised by people who had internet their entire life. So you can imagine connection among people throughout the world through technology shifts the way the world operates on a much quicker basis than it ever has been able to shift before. Now, I told you, will remind you again, you have nothing to be afraid of. In the time where I'm living now in 2055, we very much recognize frequency, codes of information, things you can't perceive with your physical eyes or ears as equally as real as things you call physical that you can perceive with physical senses. We recognize, so when I say you have information already within you that is dormant, that I'm trying to help you remember, let's talk a little bit more about what I mean by that and scientifically how that information is stored within you. I mentioned in one of the last videos, and this is why it makes sense to watch the recorded transmissions in the order that I send them to you, because we'll build on the information I talk about. If you forgot anything I said in the earlier messages, you can go back and watch them first. But one of the things we think is funny in your time in your science when they have referred to any portion of DNA as junk DNA. We understand now that DNA is a very highly advanced information storage system. You can think of it that way. We see very clearly that our technology we have created is an extension and essentially a mirror of humanity. And DNA is essentially what our creation of technology has shown us. We look at technology advancement over time, and a huge component of technology is data information storage. And over time, you've seen the storage capacity, the physical devices for data storage have gotten smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and hold more and more and more information. Our DNA inside the human body is one of the smallest known um, data storage systems that holds the most data that we could imagine. We still haven't fully discovered any limit to the amount of the data that is stored within our DNA, but we do recognize all of our DNA is functional. If you think of it like this, in your time, 2055, if you brought one of your devices that you still use at that time, a cell phone, to a remote village that didn't use cell phones, or what was it called? Wi-Fi. I think that word is so funny. Wi-Fi. Um, if you brought a village a cell phone and they had no concept of what it was, this device, this physical material thing, and there was no battery charge, and there was no knowledge of Wi-Fi or internet to connect it to, um, they would look at that device, the physical device, as junk. And your current science is looking at part of the physical aspects of your DNA as junk because they haven't fully discovered the battery charge and the Wi-Fi. So remember, if you want to understand the universe, you truly need to think in terms of frequency, vibration, and energy. Um, that will be enough for this transmission. I have much, much more to tell you that will unfold around this topic and some other topics I am allowed to talk with you about. We will get into some topics of dimension, space travel, some really cool stuff. So remember, we do connect in a time where things are really cool and you have nothing to worry about.